So I actually want to give my opinion about this hip hop artist in Los Angeles named Nipsey and the whereabouts, or should I say what actually has happened to him. Now I recently posted a social media post on what happened to Nipsey because he recently was shot and killed, and I wanted to talk about the events that pretty much went around it. And my stomach is grumbling and I need to grab me something to eat. Let me go do that. I got 3 of these in here. 1, 2, 3.
Got the order?
Yeah, it's Nicholas. Ready to order? Yeah. Thank you. Okay, put this down. Chicken Alfredo, baby, all day long. Chicken Alfredo. I meant to get the cheese bread, not this bullshit. So I meant to get the cheese bread for this one and not the breadsticks, but you know, whatever. Who is Nipsey? So I was looking at social media on a video about Nipsey and how he wanted to get people back to work and how he wanted to help communities, youth. So what he was doing was he was opening strip malls, or basically a whole strip mall. He basically owns them all, and it had stores and restaurants and clothing. And it was about 10 stores total just for that space alone. And I was like, wow, this is impressive. You have a new hip hop artist or aspiring hip hop artist that just so happened to play with Snoop Dogg or Snoop Lion, or however he calls himself, to basically have his own space to basically put people back to work. So I was like, wow, you have a entrepreneurial mind, you know, walking the LA street, and you don't see too many Nubian folks or black folks often enough to where they start their own businesses. You know, they just, you know, using the money that they made from their music career. So I saw the interview, I was like, wow, this is cool. Although I'm not really a fan of, you know, what he wears. It looks like more of a hipster look, which, you know, it's just you know, wearing, it's fine, whatever. I'm okay with that. I wouldn't consider wearing it. You know, I'm more of a, you know, Tupac and Public Enemy and KRS-One and whatnot. But I digress about that. So about I say about a week later, after I was listening and watching in Nipsey's interview, I was seeing along with the news feeds that Nipsey got shot. And I was like, wait a minute, wasn't it this artist I was just thinking about? Or I was just listening to it or just viewing about opening his own business and whatnot? I was like, yeah, that's him. That's really him. So I was like, how in the world is this guy getting, shot down after basically becoming successful at what he did? He's like one of the few and far in between. So I was thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, I didn't think anybody would just sit there and gun him down like that, but that's exactly what happened. So when that happened, half of LA practically erupted on his death. And on that next day, or should I say that next night, the candlelight vigil went up and there was a whole crowd of people that came out. So I was practically amazed, even though I knew this artist for maybe like about a good week or so. Now, with that said, I've seen a lot of other later events that took place. One where the police came in and destroyed the candlelight vigil, and all of a sudden everybody's in eruption again. And then basically most of LA started looking for, number one, the killer, and when they couldn't find him, they started going after his family. I'm like, wow, this is like just as bad as the Rodney King, the beating, where everybody just went up in chaos after the court ruled that the officers were not at fault and blah blah blah. So of course some of you guys remember that. All this chaos happened within about 2 to 3 days. And I was just watching from Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, and it's chaos everywhere. So now about 48 to 72 hours later, they finally caught the guy, or should I say the police caught the guy rather than the streets. They pretty much caught the guy. He's in jail for an indictment. So the killer's name is Eric Holder, and they got his mugshot and everything. And it comes to wonder, because I've heard that the killer was actually part of Nipsey's inner circle. I don't know for sure. And then there are others that say that it was the US government, because Nipsey was working on a documentary to make a tribute to Dr. Sebi, which was the guy that just so happens to have some cures for cancer before he was practically killed as well. So there's a lot of conspiracies behind that. Nobody really knows exactly what went down, even though there was like cameras all across the strip mall. It's really tragic for something like that to happen. And this is like in the case of, I don't want to say like Biggie Smalls or Tupac or anybody else for that matter, but it's right along those lines. Now, I'm not going to say that this has got to stop, because obviously it's never going to stop. So there's no point in saying that. But this sort of thing was happening back in the early 90s, when people used to slam hip hop, saying that it always caused hate and separation and all this stuff. When you really listen to a lot of the lyrics that they have, it's really actually a protest against US government and this, that, and the third. And a lot of times government usually, throw black people in jail. This would have been known as political prisoners, because they used their First Amendment rights to stand up for themselves. And if it wasn't for the First Amendment, a lot of us would be in trouble. Now, with that said, there are a lot of successful Nubian folks, along with Hispanic folks and Asian folks out there that are trying to basically come up in the world and be successful and get people back to work, and their own people back to work. And I respect them for that, because a lot of people are still out of work, regardless of the fact that the economy's came back up and whatnot. And it really echoes the story. You have one individual that is trying to do good, and then you have a whole circle that's basically just take that away from him. So heart goes out to the family, and I definitely hope something like this won't happen in the future. Obviously, it may or may not, depending on the future circumstances, but the fact of it is that we shouldn't have Nubian or black entrepreneurs being killed over something that, or should I say, being killed over something of what they believe should be happening. Now, with that said, I think we need to invest more into finding and protecting cures for cancer, even though there's already a cure, or should I say multiple cures, as well as bringing up Nubian men and women into higher and higher roles. We want black men to achieve their dreams. That's pretty much the message is here. I don't know, what do you guys think? I'm gonna go ahead and eat these drumsticks and try to figure all this out. All right guys, I will definitely see you guys in the next video.